So like a lot of teachers, I use Google Slides to help me give my presentations in class. And often for me, I'll have a slideshow and I'll lay out everything I want to teach. And then I'll have maybe like a video tab open, maybe some other slides, other sites that I'm going to use, and then maybe an activity that I'm going to have to use, maybe a Google Classroom. So I have a lot of things open at one time. So what I'm going to do is show you 5 ways to make it easier to give a presentation with Google Slides and also a little more effective. So I'm going to show you 5 different tips. So first tip, and this is with YouTube videos. I use YouTube quite a bit. There's a lot of really good information out on YouTube, good videos. And but the thing is, there's a couple things that make it a little difficult. One, ads, make it a little difficult to use YouTube because you don't know what the ads are going to be, and sometimes they'll come up and you have to all the whole class to watch an ad while you're waiting for the video. You also have these suggested videos, which I've had times where like sometimes have been not really appropriate. I teach middle school, and I've seen some that wouldn't be appropriate, especially might be the same for elementary. And then you have all these comments, and it's just kind of messy. It's kind of a messy way to do it. So what you can do though, and you can to make it a little, make it look better, but also avoid ads and stuff. If you copy the URL and you put it in a new tab, and in your URL, if you go between the T and the U, not the U and the T, but the T and the U between you two, and you put a dash, and then you hit enter, what it does is it puts it in this presentation mode. And the presentation mode skips the ads, so you don't have those in. You don't have suggested videos, and you also don't have comments, and it's at full screen. So that's really nice. So I can, instead of doing this, where I have all this stuff around it, by just putting that dash in between the T and the U, I have this presentation mode. So it's just much cleaner, I think better for presentation, and it just makes it go a little smoother. So that's tip number 1, which is putting a dash between the T and the U. All right, tip number 2, and this is more organizing. What I can, and I use this primarily for my main slideshow, just is what I would use it for. You could use it for more than this. And what I can do with this is, it's taking up a lot of space in here. And this is, since this is my main slideshow, I want to make sure this is always up. This is what I'm working off of. What I can do is right click on this and pin this. And what it does, it makes it smaller. It also takes away the little X in the tab so I can't accidentally close it. And it keeps it far to all the way to the left. And I can do this with other ones too. I can pin this one if I wanted to, and I always unpin it. I like to pin just the slideshow because when I pin it, when I pin it, I also lose my information, like what it is. And so this one I know what it is. It's my main slideshow. If I pin it, that's good. It's always going to be there, and so it makes it easy to find, and just cleans up. Makes it a little takes a little space away, and makes it a little kind of neater, easier to follow. All right. So second tip was you could pin. You could pin a tab, and you just right click and say pin tab. Here's unpin because I've already got it pinned. So if I want to pin this one, I would pin it. Third one is grouping. So now you notice I got all these ones here. Okay. Now one of the problems is if I close this accidentally, I gotta go redo all those. Also, if I maybe say I have a situation where I'm teaching this in multiple sections, let's say in middle school or maybe in elementary or high school, and so I don't have to, I'm going to open all these every single time, or I'm teaching it over multiple days, and so each day I'm having to open all these tabs and get it set up. So what I can do is I can create a group. I know these all go together. All right, so I want to create a group with these. So what I can do is I can right click on this and I can say add tab to a new group. And I'm going to call this group, let's give it a color. I'm going to go blue. And this is, mine's the graphic design. And I'm going to say here, and you notice it pulled the next one in with the 2. So when I go off of it, it put these 2 in a group. So when I close it, say they're grouped together. Now I can add all my other ones just by right clicking, add tab to group. We'll put it in graphic design. And so these are all together. Alright, so now I got a nice, so what happens, what's this, when I close it, they're all together. So I can leave this up here and like just open them all as one group. Now the problem is if I close this, I'm going to lose the whole thing. But there's a way around that, fortunately. I can save the group. When I save it, it's right here. Okay, and so my group is saved here, and I can open this whole group together. And so even if I close this, and I go back into it, see it's right there. And this is a new tab. Open it up. There's my whole group again. Okay. All right. So another one that you can do is say that's tip number 4. Number 3. Tip number 4 is this is a presentation. So there are many times when I'm doing a presentation and I don't think I'll get to everything in the presentation, or I've created like a unit and so I want to use the whole. I'm not going to use the whole thing. So I could just skip over it. But you can also, another way of doing this is if you right click. So I'm going to do here and right click and say skip slide. And so what that does, it puts this little eyeball and things. I didn't have to delete them, and go back into the history and find them. And when I go into slideshow mode, it just simply will skip over those. All right, so and it allows me to go through and do my presentation and without seeing these particular 2 ones. And it's also a nice way, visually I can see it here. So even if I, it also helps us with organization, because like if I want to like skip things, I can just pick out the ones I want, hide the other ones, and I can see it on my slideshow. Okay, I'm not doing those 2 today. You can also, it's also nice because if you are just going to put out, you don't want to put the slideshow itself out for students, and you want to just give them the presentation. So if you go to share and publish it to the web, create a presentation with it, so that you're going to send out to students. I'm going to publish this. I just copy this URL, paste it over here. Now I've got a presentation that the kids can see, but they can't change any things. But since I skipped those, it skips those in here too. So that's another way of using the skip, is that if you're going to do presentation mode, it will skip the slides that you don't want. So tip number 5, and this one is going to be just with, once again, presenting. And so on this one, he's using the presentation mode. And so if you go up here and open a slideshow and go into presenter view, presenter view, and you click on the presenter view. And this has 2 parts that are very nice. One, I can control my slides here. Well, actually 3 parts. I can control my slides here. I got a timer, so I can see how the time's going with it. Then I also can look at my speaker notes right here. So here's my speaker notes. So these notes. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. So I can type in notes here that are for me and not for the students. So it's just to help me with my presentation. So I'll go back in presenter mode. I can see those here, and so when I'm doing my presentation, I can talk about these things, but not necessarily have it all on my slideshow. So I think it's nice, and you can actually have a hard time seeing it, which sometimes I do. You can make them bigger to make it a little easier. The other thing on this one, this nice feature, and I'm not sure I would use it always with students, is this audience tool. And what this does is you hit start new, copy put this URL out for the students to see. They click on that and log in onto it, and then they can ask you questions as you go. The questions will pop up here, so the students won't see them, but you'll see them. So, for example, they may ask something like, "We have to do all 4 designs." And when they submit that, it pops up here. It tells me who it came from, and I can present this to the question itself. But it's just a nice way for them to ask questions. I would be cautious using this with students just because they get so distracted. Okay, so that's tip number 5, and that's using the presentation mode in Google Slides. And that's basically, and to get out of this, you close this part, you just hit escape, and you're out of it, and you get to this by going up to presenter view. The 5 things on this that we covered here: the YouTube videos, you can skip the ads by adding the dash in between the U and the T and the U. in YouTube, and then after you copy the URL and start it, and that gives you a presentation mode for the YouTube videos with no ads, no comments, no suggested videos. You can pin tab, put the tab all the way to the left, makes it smaller, and you can't accidentally close it. So I would use that for me. I use it for my main presentation, so I know where that is easily. You can also group tabs, and this is great, especially if you're going to reuse these for multiple classes or over several days. It lets you save a whole group of tabs, and you don't have to go reopen them every time you're doing the presentation. Skipping slides, great for changing the presentations to a particular group or particular lesson. So you can skip over which slides you're not going to use for that day, but you're not having to delete them or move them, or or remember which ones you're going to skip. It makes it obvious which ones you're doing. And then finally, the presentation mode gives you a nice full screen presentation, and then also gives you some tools such as like be able to read your speaker notes, controlling the slide presentation, making the speaker notes bigger if you want to, and if you want to use it be able to have your audience ask questions as you do it without having to raise their hand. I hope this was helpful, and I use these tools, and I think they really could be beneficial for all teachers.